Hey folks, it's been a while. My name is Brian and welcome back to Poli-Tic Talks. So today's video is going to be on the unfolding crisis in Venezuela over the past several months. The video is going to be divided into three sections. The first section will be a brief and extremely oversimplified summary of the crisis that's been unfolding over the past couple of months. The second section will underline some of the significant occurrences in the past few weeks and months regarding this crisis. And the third section, I will be giving my 2 cents on what I think these events mean for the future of the crisis and for Venezuela in general. So let's get started. Following a set of disputed elections in 2019, in January of 2019, Juan Guaido declared himself interim president of Venezuela, challenging the administration of sitting president Nicolas Maduro. Mr. Maduro has declined to step down and maintains support of the Venezuelan military by and large, as well as international allies such as Russia, China, Turkey, and Iran. Mr. Guaido also has his fair share of international support, namely the United States government, as well as about 50 other mostly Western nations. He has also seen some defections from the Venezuelan military to his side. The administration of President Maduro has seen declining favorability in recent years. Venezuela has been experiencing massive amounts of inflation. One report in the BBC claims that it was over 800,000%. They're also experiencing shortages of food and medicine for most of the population. The international support for Mr. Guaido, who's declared himself interim president, is there on the condition that once in power he would declare a fresh set of elections. On February 22nd, President Maduro closed the Venezuelan border with Brazil, through which international aid in the form of food and medicine was flowing. President Maduro also claimed that it was a possibility that he would close the border with Colombia because he claimed that the opposition was getting relief through that border. Following the closing of the border with Brazil, Russia accused the United States of trying to arm Mr. Guaido's opposition forces through that border. The relationship between Russia and the United States over Venezuela will become relevant in the second section of this video. Amid the power struggle in Venezuela, the country has seen growing protests over shortages of water and electricity. President Maduro has claimed that the rolling blackouts that Venezuela has experienced are due to opposition sabotage. And as of April 2nd, Venezuela's Supreme Court has requested that Mr. Guaido's parliamentary immunity be stripped, which is a move that could see him imprisoned due to the fact that he allegedly violated a travel ban by visiting several Latin American countries in recent weeks. Venezuela's Supreme Court has also banned Mr. Guaido from holding public office for up to 15 years and seen his right-hand man arrested on terrorism charges. The U.S. has weighed in on this, saying that there would be serious consequences if Mr. Guaido was ever arrested. Okay, so in this second section, I'm going to be underlining 2 instances which I believe are significant in the context of this crisis in Venezuela. On March 23, 2019, Reuters reported that 2 Russian Air Force planes landed in Venezuela's primary airport, carrying 1 Russian defense official, as well as 100 troops and 35 tons of equipment. I should point out that the Russian government has declined to comment on these reports, so any analysis I give on this particular piece is pure conjecture on my part. The presence of Russian military assets in Venezuela would be significant for a couple of reasons, which I will discuss in the next section of this video. Bear in mind that Russia is one of President Maduro's relatively few allies internationally, and it comes 3 months after joint military exercises between Russia and Venezuela on Venezuelan soil. In a more recent report by Reuters, they claim that an Iranian airline, which has been blacklisted by several Western countries for transporting military equipment to the Middle East, is now making direct flights into Venezuela. According to Iran's Civil Aviation Organization, the airline will be transporting foreign ministry officials into Venezuela. So in the final section of this video, I'm just going to be talking about what these two moves by Russia and Iran, or at least an airline linked to Iran, have to do with the Venezuelan crisis in general. In the case of the Russian Air Force planes, I should say up front that I have no experience in the military, so my analysis is going to be purely political, and my assumptions may be from a place of ignorance. Because the Russians only sent 100 troops and a military official, I think it's fair to assume that they would not be used in an operations capacity, but more in a training capacity. I believe that the Russians are planning to train Venezuelan army units with these Russian soldiers. The reason I think they're not being used for operations is simply that if they were, for example, Russian special forces, I don't think they would ever be seen. I don't think there would be any recognition that they were even in country, especially not from Reuters. While the Iranian airline that is now making flights into Venezuela is not officially linked to the Iranian military, the fact that they've said that foreign ministry officials will be using this airline to have talks inside Venezuela signify to me that it's probably a move by the Iranian government to make sure that this happens. While the moves by the Russians and the Iranians to increase their links with President Maduro are symbolic, I think they're also politically strategic. Propping up President Maduro's forces makes strategic sense for the Russians and the Iranians, simply because an unstable Venezuela to a certain extent benefits them because it is so close to several vital Western interests. I think there is a danger here that Venezuela could gradually devolve into something reminiscent of what we're seeing in Syria right now. The reason I say this is because we have a group of countries backing one side and a group of countries backing another side. It's essentially turning into a proxy war. It could be a sign that Mr. Maduro's administration is beginning to crack slightly, because it's a fairly risky move, certainly for the Russian case, that Maduro's allies are now taking a more hands-on approach with supporting his administration. Anyway, guys, I think that's it for me on this one. Any links for the sources I've used for the information I've presented in this video can be found in the description down below. Please feel free to like and subscribe if you liked what you've seen in this one, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Take care, guys.